Dr Miles Pattenden is joining us now. He's a Catholic historian. First of all, your reaction when you saw the white smoke billow from that chimney?
Well, I think it was extremely exciting for me and for all the Catholics in this square. I don't think anyone was expecting it quite so soon. We knew that the previous two papal elections had also ended on the afternoon of the second day, but I think there was a kind of nervousness about this one with so many cardinals and so many of them who didn't know each other. People thought, well, maybe it will take a bit longer, but it didn't.
There's been 266 popes before Leo, 2,000 years of papacy tradition. He's the first North American. Can you maybe talk us through how meaningful that is?
Well, I think the cardinals themselves, and indeed the Pope, will say that it's not meaningful. What matters is the personality and the spirituality. But I think for a lot of Catholics, this is a really unexpected development. The Vatican has long had a kind of reflexive anti-Americanism, a sense that America has too much power in the world already to make an American Pope. But I was hearing during the week that's just passed that actually there was a lot of support for Prevost, that people said, well, he ticks all the right boxes for a kind of moderate person who'll continue Francis's work, but has a lot of administrative experience and pastoral experience. He spent a lot of his life in South America, and they were able to look past the fact that he was American in a way and say, well, yes, he's the guy that you should lead us.
We've spoken to a lot of people who know cardinals, have been speaking to cardinals, and they've been saying to us that this idea of politicking and whipping votes going on in the Sistine Chapel, you know, the cardinals kind of squirm at that idea. But just on that point, have they made some sort of a political statement by electing an American as pontiff?
Well, I think they would probably say that they haven't. I mean, they always tell us that this is all about prayer and discernment and the Holy Spirit, although occasionally you do get a cardinal who admits that politics do play part of this. But, I mean, the question is, you know, what is the message that it's sending to have an American Pope? And we don't quite know that. I mean, one way of reading this is that this is a rebuke to President Trump, saying, you know, here's an alternative vision of Americanness that can be promoted by the Vatican. But I think the cardinals and even the Pope himself will shy away from that. They'll say it doesn't matter that he's American. He's simply a leader for global humanity.
So we had Benedict, of course, he resigned, and then we had Pope Francis, who was seen by the Church as more of a progressive. Prevost, from what we're reading, is more on the sort of more liberal wing of the Church as well. So can we assume, watching from the outer, that this is the Roman Catholic Church's outlook on the world now, a more progressive, more welcoming outlook?
I think that's the base assumption, yes, but I think two things are very notable here. One is the outfit that the new Pope wore when he appeared on the balcony. It wasn't what Pope Francis wore 12 years ago. It was the same as Pope Benedict 20 years ago. And I think that's a nod to traditionalists in the Church saying, yes, I know I have this reputation to be on the progressive side, but I'm listening to you and you're included in this as well. At the same time, that name Leo is very significant. It harks back to Leo XIII, the last Pope of the 19th century, who was in many ways the kind of foundational figure of the modern papacy, the man who transformed the Pope from being the ruler of a temporal state here in Italy to being the great moral and pastoral and spiritual leader that we know him to be today. And Leo is also the key figure in the development of what's called Catholic social teaching and social activism. His document, Rerum Novarum, was the first attempt by the Church to chart a middle line between socialism and capitalism, to say Catholics can take part in democratic politics, and this is how they should do it. And he was set up, I mean, he established the papacy for the 20th century. The new Pope says, I want to do the same for the 21st.
And just on the pageantry, the mystery even around the conclave itself, they're electing one of the most powerful men or the most famous man in the world in there. It all happens behind closed doors. Is that acceptable in the 21st century, that we have this electoral process that really lacks that kind of transparency? We don't know what happened in there.
Well, acceptable or not, I think that's how it has to be for the Church, partly because of the idea behind it, which is that this is not a decision made by 133 individuals. It's made by the Holy Spirit speaking through them. And of course, if we saw everything about how they voted and so on, that wouldn't be quite so straightforwardly believed by Catholics. But I think it would also severely undermine the Pope's moral authority if we knew exactly how many votes he'd got and who had supported him and who'd spoken out against him. I think it's very important for the position that actually this mystery is maintained.